Hey guys, it's Ginger here, and I just wanted to make a quick, short, and simple video about how to write a song as a beginner. So, we're starting out with 6 steps, although there's an optional 7th step, but before you click away, let's jump into it. So, the first step when you're starting to write a song from scratch as a beginner, really even if you're not a beginner, is to start with a free write. Usually I'm collaborating with people, but if I'm writing by myself, I will start really just writing anything that comes to mind. Sometimes I'll write it in a line poetry format, but I think it's really important to focus on it not rhyming and to just focus on the meaning of what you're trying to say. If you start focusing on the rhymes and the phrasing in this phase, then you lose what you're trying to say and you're not focusing on the concept and the trueness and the realness of what you're trying to say. So free write for 5 to 10 minutes, fill up a page, get as much as you can, type for 5 to 10 minutes, and then once you've done that, move on to step 2, which is to look at everything you wrote and pick out a concept. And so once you've picked out your concept, you want to stick with that concept. So basically look through everything that you've written. See if anything's making sense. See if there's like one line that sums up everything that you're trying to say, and then put that as your concept. And one thing that's really easy is if you put it at the top of your page, so you're always looking at this concept, and you don't want to lose sight of this concept. This is almost like your North Star with songwriting. This may not be making a ton of sense at this point, but it does all come together. The next thing you're going to do is step 3, and that is to decide what is the chorus. So one might ask, well, how do you decide what your chorus is? And it's pretty simple. Basically, it's either your favorite part, it's the part you feel like is the most sing-alongable, it's something really simple if you feel like your verses are going to be more wordy, or it's something more wordy if you feel like your verses are going to be more simple. The whole point of sections of songs, I feel like the point is to just keep the listener interested and to keep something new always coming. So if your verse is really wordy and your chorus is all of a sudden really not wordy and there's less words and more held notes when singing, then it's very engaging. So pick out your chorus, choose 4 to 8 lines or however many lines you want. And again, we're still not focusing on the rhymes at this point. We're just focusing on getting things on paper and moving it all around. Step 4, mess with the chords. That actually rhymes, oh my gosh. I have had quite a few people come to me and ask about melodies and chords and how to do all those things better. And one of the best things I do when I'm looking for chords is I look at a song that I really like. You can't copyright a chord progression, and not to say I'm taking the chord progression, but I'm often finding inspiration from songs that I like that maybe sound different or new compared to what I usually do. Just do that. It's like not that hard. Since I started this channel, ChatGPT has come out, so you can use ChatGPT to look up chords. Once you've decided on 4 to 8 chords, whatever your progression is going to be, 2 chords, whatever you want, 1 chord. You could have a song with 1 chord in it. Why not? That would actually be really fun to do. The next thing you're going to do is to start. This is how I see songwriting. So you have this lump of clay. That's the free write that you wrote. You have this lump of clay, and what you want to do is you want to take that weirdly shaped lump of clay and carve it out into what it wants to be. You're not trying to change what it is. You're letting the clay tell you what it wants to be. And this is a hard thing to do. But the more you do it, the easier it gets, and the more you don't think about it and just keep going, like the surfing, creatively surfing. You're on a surfboard. I don't even know how to surf, but you're on a surfboard. I assume you're trying to stay afloat, and you do. Keep moving. Just keep moving. And so you have got chords, you've got words, and you're trying to sculpt your clay. Now, when you're sculpting your clay and you're making it make more sense as to what it is, you're making things rhyme, you're moving lines around, you're maybe looking at that free write, that one section that doesn't really make sense, and you realize what you were trying to say, and then you put it in at this point. You clarify things. It's almost like editing, if you want to get technical, but I find that word very boring. So I think of it as sculpting clay. And so once you've sculpted that clay, but I think of it as sculpting clay. So in this section 5, I think I forgot to say what step this was. Step 5, your goal is to have a rough edit of your chorus. So it should rhyme with whatever rhyme scheme you want. It should structurally make sense to some degree. It should basically read like a chorus. Now, once you have that, and again, you keep referencing that concept that you have at the top of your page because that's what your song is going to be about. Once you have that chorus roughly sketched out, then you go back into your rough edit, into your free write, and you say, what are my verses? What feeling do I want the song to start on? What's the feeling of the second verse? The way that I always see it is the first verse is like the initial, like whatever slaps the listener in the face for the first time. And the second verse is like the continuation or the turning page, like the page has turned and you're on a new point, but a similar point. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's how I see it. So go into your free write, choose your first and your second verse, and then do the same thing. Edit those lines, edit that sculpture, make the clay a little more clearer as far as what it wants to be. At this point, after 6 steps, you have a song that's laid out. Now you might be wondering, well, what about the chords for the verses? Well, they can actually be the same as the chorus, or, use those same chords but put them in a different order. That's kind of something fun I like to do. It really just depends on how it's feeling to you. If it's feeling like it needs different chords, then use different chords. If it's feeling like it could use the same chords as the verse, then use the same chords as the verse. At step 6, after 6 steps, you have a layout of a song, and you have a rough idea of chords. Melodies are something that you kind of play with, and I can link a video up here to some melody videos that I have. I think a lot of it comes with practice. I think a lot of it can come from music theory knowledge, and I think a lot of it can come from playing a chord and just singing a note, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, sing a different note and just keep trying and playing around and make sure it feels good and it feels fun. So at this point, you have a rough edit of a song. Now, if you're looking at your piece of clay, you have a rough piece of clay that kind of makes sense. So what you want to do is, well, what you can do, this is kind of like my final step, is to take another pass at that piece of clay just to make it make more sense. And so I'll take a pass at the song one more time just to make it make more sense, and to ideally look at it the next day or a couple days later or even like 4 hours later with a fresh set of ears. It's also important to keep coming at it again with a fresh set of ears. And this is basically where I take stuff out, or where I take a line that kind of makes sense but maybe doesn't make sense, and I make it make sense. So I see this as like, this 20% of work makes 80% of the results. Whatever that saying is, like, this last step really is what makes this song fantastic. And so with those steps, you can write a song. And it might not be your best song ever, but I always viewed it like, if you write 100 songs, one of them will be great. So just write a lot of songs. And not only will you be more likely to have a good song, your skills will develop. I hope this helps you. If you have any questions, drop them below. I have been writing songs for almost 15 years now, and I have 2 albums out. I write for clients, for things, for people. I co-write. I love writing songs, and any kind of questions you have, I would love to talk about songwriting with you. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and happy writing.